jumped on it and off I went. And of course, a little bit more power than I'd been really used to before. Anyway, second lap, coming over the rise to the start and finish line. It was, in those days, there was a bit more of a jump than there is now. And anyway, suddenly the back end stepped out, down I went. Bike went spinning down the track. I went on my arse straight down into the pit lane. And I arrived in the pits, and I always remember, I'm not just sure, it was Fred Swift or, it might have been Fred Swift or Jake, but I can't remember which. And he was looking down at me and he says, you meant to bring the bike with you as well, so something like that. Two days before the Thruxton 500 miler, and I'd entered it to ride with John, and from a standard bike, we wanted to try and get it as good as we could, and we played. John was a bit more technical than I was. He played around with the valve timing and God knows what else, and got the best out of it in that way, and pulled it all in bits. But we all did it in the kitchen of the flat where the house that we had, didn't we? Yeah. So his on the engine was done on the kitchen table, Other occupants of the house not too pleased about it, but we won the battle. We went testing there, so this testing was a whole new thing because we couldn't afford to go testing on our own before. But then me having to drive down in a car to Thruxton was a luxury for a start. Just turn up and I thought, I've cracked it now, haven't I? Really have. And go out and do a bit of testing, and then you just leave your bike and they do all the fettling.
Was that with triples?
Yeah, the triples, yeah. Considerable amount of crash damage, but the secret was to ride a bike that was still being in production at the factory, and somehow bits used to magic themselves onto the bike. I don't know how.
So when you went over 71 Formula 750, you'd have Meriden guys there for backup, and probably
absolutely,
Arthur or
John Woodward was my mechanic,
right.
And there wasn't really all that much to do in practice week. I seem to remember we had it. The bikes were looked after in the garage after every race, and they went over them and go for. Les Williams was just a super organizer at getting everything sorted and making sure the bikes were right. I mean, it would be. I don't think he got the recognition at the time that he deserved, did he, for the organisation?
He had a lot of skill in controlling and the right level of playing around and then work. And as a charge hand, if it went too far, Les was just pulled it back in the right way. And he was very good. Man management skills were good.
He had a good sense of humour, didn't he?
He did
as well. Yes.
He did.
And he did a fantastic job. And I mean, I think it would be certainly in the modern day like the team owner, if you see what I mean, and or certainly the manager of the whole
what they call the team principal or whatever.
Yes,
and this was all on top of the fact that he had his factory job as well, that he had to organise everything.
Yeah. I mean, he was the charge hand, and he had the day job, but he always from the twin days of getting ready for Daytona, he was always the person that was involved in sorting the transportation of stuff out, the carnets for getting through to the Bordeaux or whatever it might be. The amount of hidden work that needed to be done. I mean, I guess normally you'd have a team of people, but in the normal way, when we did the Bordeaux, it was It was a minimum number of people, and yeah.
Yeah, he was extremely good at it.
He was good
about it. Yeah.
Well, that must have been terrific getting into winners enclosure.
Oh, sorry, yeah. When I came in there, that was really brilliant. I can't believe the thrill of winning a TT is something that is, well, at the time I would say is unparalleled compared with any other race that I'd certainly competed in. And a TT winner got hero worshipped virtually then. It was a certainly completely different different class of event, way above anything else that I'd ridden it. And so to do that, and especially to upset the other Triumph riders and the team, that was a bit of a surprise. I always remember John Woodward's face when I came in. It was glorious. I've never seen a smile like it. Oh God, he was just jumping with joy. He was just absolutely over the moon. But the conditions for the race were appalling, absolutely appalling. The fog on the mountain was, I mean, how we're allowed to race in that, God only knows. We just did, because that's how it was. They
didn't stop it.
Didn't stop. And I remember catching a group of riders up on the mountain, and I was still pulling fifth gear on the Yamaha 350, which meant it had to be doing round about 120 mile an hour thereabouts.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah, at least then. And I reckon we couldn't see more than 50 yards. And I caught one particular group up, and I hope in hell of stopping them. And I went through them. There's about 6 riders. They used to get together in clumps and follow each other. No one dare actually overtake anybody. And I went through them, and how I missed them all, I've no idea. It just was fluke. I just went like that, through them and gone. And one of the guys that was in that group couldn't believe it. He said, just hurtling. I would be doing at least 50, 60 mile an hour faster than they were going. And so it was a bit of a shock to them, and it was nearly a big shock to me as well.
Your 750 had gone at the end of 71, and they factory sent it to America.
They did, yes. Yeah, that wasn't very nice. They sent it to America and they sacked me as well. So, having won the TT for them, they then sacked me at the end of the year. And I think it was a bit unfair. I thought, in a way, it was the factory being seen to make a cut. Really, what I cost the factory team was not really an awful lot, because they had the facilities, they had the bikes there, and all they did was just park my bike up, and John Woodward was, doing the mundane work on the experimental bikes, which is what all the mechanics did in between working on the race bikes. Definitely worth riding the Triumph Trident then through that year. Yes, but we although I had some successes, and I remember with John Cooper again at the Cadwell race, he won it by, I don't know, 2/10, 3/10 or something of a second, that close. He had the ability. John had the ability of holding you up and slowing down and not allowing you to get past. And I came across this a few times. The first time was at Scarborough, not on the Triumphs, on different bikes. I was on the Norton and he was on a Sealy. And he was so busy holding me up, thinking I was going to come down the inside at the Mount Side hairpin. And I just rode round the outside of him right there. He just couldn't believe I was going to do that. Yeah, but you certainly knew how to get the best out of them. You could. You're much more patient than me at assembling them. And
I could get, yeah, I mean, mine was never the highest spec. I didn't have the squish pistons and things like that, but I could get them going pretty quick.
I didn't know what squish was.
No.
No. I thought they were damaged to start with when they said they got a squish piston, But the year after, we went to Deverell's house, and it was to negotiate a deal. This deal where I worked for the start money I was telling you about earlier, and we went to this to his house, and he had a swimming pool in the garden, I remember as well, and he had a dog, a little dog, which was a real pesky little nuisance, and it used to took a fancy to my leg. And without going into too much detail, it was being more than a nuisance. And I backheeled it into the pool, which Ray saw me, and Ray and Pop both saw me doing that. They were splitting the sides with laughter because they'd just seen it. I always remember once that we used to put a reel in. We painted the background on the front, and it was shiny or whatever, and they said it should be matte. And the scrutineer got a piece of sandpaper and went like that over the front, and they had to restrain me. I was gonna fell him. Just mentioning Paul, it's unbelievably sad that he's passed away with that road accident. And I just on the way down here today, Scott Smart rang me to ask me to do a bit of a eulogy and things at the funeral, and I have to say that sometimes in life people die that you just don't expect, and you feel sort of cheated that they've gone, and it visibly upset me when I found out about it. It was a very, very sad, very sad affair, because he was a string, and we remained pals for right up. We used to telephone each other certainly once a fortnight, and laugh. We always ended up laughing. You just couldn't help it. You always ended up laughing with Paul. He was great. He was a great bloke in the team when he was there.